Hi everybody, my name is Taylor Dunn and this is my informational interview summary video speech. I interviewed David Viola. He's an infection prevention person at St. Luke's Health System and he works at the downtown Boise Hospital. I learned a lot about this field and I wanted to interview somebody in infection prevention because it is one of the fields that I'm interested in, and it's kind of new to public health professionals to be involved in this field, which I also learned from David. But yeah, I didn't know very much about it, and I kind of wanted to learn more about what they do because it seems like it'd be really interesting to work in this field, and after the interview it proved my point even more that it seems super interesting. So there are a lot of different things that a person can do in infection prevention. For example, David's team is working on improving surgical site infections, so he works with directors of floors and managers of surgical services to improve their best practices. And that's actually how I got in touch with David, is because my mom is the surgery center manager, and I asked her if she could set me up to meet with somebody that was in infection prevention to learn more about it, because it is super important in that field, and I hear her talk about it all the time with how many people come back with surgical site infections and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I got in contact with him. David also works on a multidisciplinary team to build and fix the organization's policies for infection prevention, like what people do on the floors after somebody comes up from surgery and stuff like that. And then one of infection prevention's biggest roles at the hospital is performing rounding through the hospital, looking for infection-related issues and developing relationships with the staff to find out what questions they have and become a good resource for them if they have any concerns about a patient, or if they have any questions about what they can do when they send a patient home, to tell them, give them tips and stuff about how to keep their surgical site clean. And I actually used to work at the hospital at St. Luke's, and I remember infection prevention people coming up to the floor all the time to just do random checks and look at people's surgical sites and make sure that everything was going okay and see if they had any beginning symptoms of infection. So that's very true. They do that a lot. Let's see. David believes that the industry is definitely growing, because this was one of my biggest concerns, was I don't ever want to go into a job that's dying. I want to go into a job that's growing. So this was one of my most important questions that I wanted to ask, but it was good to find out that he thinks it's growing and that there's actually more demand for people in infection prevention than the supply of qualified candidates, which is great for somebody looking into this field. It's awesome because you want to know that there's available jobs out there for whatever you're going into. He also said that the biggest factor in a person's personality that they look for and able to work in infection prevention is being able to work well on a team, because a lot of the stuff that they do, as I stated, they work on boards together, they do a lot of team stuff. It's not a lot of individual work. It's a lot of trying to figure out with other people, collaborating with other people, what policies to fix and how they can fix it. So it's a lot of teamwork. So he said that's definitely the biggest thing that they look for in a candidate. Let's see. I also learned that the starting range for a new person in this field in Idaho would be about $50,000 to $70,000 a year, which would probably be higher in other states, but for our state, that's a good starting wage for a person with a bachelor's degree. But probably the most interesting thing I learned from this interview was that while this role was traditionally filled by RNs, so registered nurses, the field's now growing to include different types of backgrounds, including public health, laboratory science, and he even said that they have an employee that worked for the Boise Sterile Processing Department for 30 years. So that's pretty cool. That's a wide range of people that are included in this now. It didn't used to be, which is cool. And this shows the awesome diversity that's slowly happening, which opens up a lot of opportunities for different people, and it brings a new perspective into the field about, like, as a public health professional, we know different things than a registered nurse does. So it gives them a lot of, like, different viewpoints of things. And I would want this job. It seems like he really enjoys what he does and feels rewarded at the end of the day because he helps people not get sick after surgery. Like, he told me that he used to work as an RN with total joint replacements, and he would see people come back all the time with infections, and that's why he finally wanted to step into this role and try and do something about it, because he had worked so closely with this issue for years, and this seems like it's more rewarding for him, so that's awesome. And I think this would be a great option for a public health professional, as there are beginning to become more opportunities in this field for public health professionals like ourselves, and it sounds like a really cool job, so I would definitely do it. It sounds like there's a lot of variety day to day, and there's a lot of different things that you get to do in the overall realm of infection prevention. So thank you. Have a good day.